can't question, we'll talk offline. Thank you.
How you are?
New York Association of Pupil Transportation, Peter Mannella. Mannella, thank you. Executive Director.
Good evening, all of you with more stamina than I have. I'm ready for a nap. If this were another day and age, I would share with you that someone slipped me a note, but a colleague in the back, Jim Carr, who many of you know, shared with me a Twitter account or Twitter note saying that today in 1780, our New York State Legislature met for the first time in the city of Albany at what was then the old City Hall. So I share that with you. Compliments of our colleague in the back of the room.
It seems like we've been going since
I know,
1780.
and that's not us. We've been here a long time.
It's always good to have a historian around.
Did this hearing start? No.
He doesn't remember that.
Chairman Farrell, Chairwoman Young,
Yes, Denny was here for that first meeting.
Denny remembers it, right?
okay, all seriousness aside. Chairman Farrell, Chairwoman Young, particularly note to Chairwoman Young on your assumption of the Finance Committee Chair. I look forward to working with you in that capacity and hopefully passing our stop arm camera bill together with you this year. I'm pleased to share with you recommendations of the New York Association for Pupil Transportation regarding the Governor's 2016-17 budget proposal. Our more than 600 members are responsible with our colleagues in the Contractors Association for the safe and efficient transportation of more than 2.3 million children to and from school every day. It is vital that our state continue its investment in school transportation to continue our state's unmatched record of safety for our kids. We're here to discuss some of those investments with you today. I'd like to highlight several key issues or areas from our full statement for you, but before I do that, I want to join our voice with the other education lobbies who have called on you to work to eliminate the gap elimination adjustment. I guess it's two eliminations. Restore the money. In many school districts, while it doesn't directly affect transportation, they've looked at transportation to help ease some of the costs that they have, that they've had to deal with in the GEA. We've seen safety training programs cut, routes changed and cut back, training for drivers, administrative and dispatch personnel. A lot of things that we use to keep kids safe have been cut as a result of the GEA, and it's time to restore those monies. In specific area with school transportation, very briefly on a couple of points, we're pleased to see that transportation aid has continued to be recognized as expense-based and that the governor's budget includes $1.783 billion to accommodate the costs that were incurred by school districts last year, and we support continuation of that into the adopted budget. We appreciate the continued funding of $400,000 for this comprehensive school bus driver training program, which this legislature enacted back in 1997. We're sad to say that it has not been increased from the $400,000 since 1997, and we've got a lot of new needs that school bus drivers are facing out in their school buses, and we're asking for an increase from $400,000 to $500,000 to allow us to do training in special needs transportation, the increased transportation of kids who are in pre-K programs. We've got a lot of violent incidents happening on buses. We're going to be able to train the drivers on how to respond to intrusions on the bus and violent incidents, and some of those things are described further in our testimony. A key part of what we're asking you for is to recognize that pre-K transportation is a cost to school districts. When universal pre-K was created back in the late 90s, transportation was not considered. In 2012, there was legislation passed that allowed school districts to provide the transportation, but gift to you from us, the legislation said no transportation aid would follow if you did transportation for pre-K kids. We're here to say that transportation is a necessity for pre-K programs. Many districts are not doing as much as they might with pre-K because they don't have transportation to get the kids from home to the program and back. And we think that the program would succeed and grow larger and be more reasonable, reach its potential if transportation could be addressed. So we're asking that that law passed in 2012 be reconsidered, repealed, and that funding be made available in the transportation aid formula for transportation of pre-K students. Two final points in terms of budget. You just heard from the after-school and community school programs. We've been part of some of the work they're doing. Programs like after-school programs, community schooling, regional high schools, and those kind of initiatives we're doing are all good ideas educationally. They cost money on the transportation end. So as those things move forward, we're going to be looking to you and the education department to work with us on ensuring that there's transportation aid available to help us provide those services to the kids. Lastly, in our statement, we talk about mandates. We've enumerated about 8 mandates that are placed on school transportation programs that cost money, that with some modification or in some cases elimination, we could save $100 million or more by eliminating those and moderating them across the state. We're very proud of the record of safety that we've accomplished in New York State. With the training funds particularly, we've gone from dozens of fatalities back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to having no fatalities over the past couple of years. That's a record to be proud of. We're keeping our kids safe. We need to continue to partner with you and ask you for your support in terms of appropriation and political support for the work that the men and women do to keep our children safe every day. And I can take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Just one comment,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for highlighting one of the impediments as to why all school districts have not adopted the pre-K programs.
Right.
We've been many of us have been trying to say that the money that's been put in the budget for that purpose is not sufficient because there are so many other costs involved.
Correct.
There's the structures that needed, the classrooms that are needed, and I personally never even thought of the issue of transportation, but that's another cost for these school districts that as to why they're not adopting the pre-K. They're just jumping into it.
And I
Thank
think
you
you
very
heard the
much.
Syracuse superintendent talk about that for pre-K kids there, or Rochester, having those little children having to walk to their pre-K programs. Not going to happen, and it's a similar problem in the rural areas where the
Right.
children have to go long distances to get to the program. They just can't.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for being here, and just pass along to your members, please, how much we appreciate all of their efforts to keep students safe, and sometimes in difficult conditions, and so thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.